is dumb, and I mean really dumb. She has told on herself so many times, and people digging up old videos. Take a listen to her.
A pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say, but I also knew that that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part.
Are you going to sue Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion. Wait till you see this lawsuit.
Wait until you see this before suing Blake Lively into oblivion. Lawsuit. Although drama is common in the entertainment world, few may have anticipated the explosive confrontation between Blake Lively, Justin Baldwin, and Marvel. A high-stakes legal battle broke out between the studios after what started as a creative disagreement on a movie set, leaving fans the issue at the center of the disagreement, which left both insiders and outsiders reeling, was authoring power and the extent to which lengths people will go to in order to safeguard their interests. For Justin Baldwin, the experience served as a clear reminder of the difficulties of working together in Hollywood, where individual goals might clash with creative visions overshadow Blake Lively's lawsuit and Justin Baldwin's professional contacts. The timeline provides even more clarity on how it all began and culminated in lawsuits, even though it may be becoming intense, with other receipts accumulating as if they were physically taken to the basement, which we will examine later. Justin Baldwin and 9 additional plaintiffs, including publicists and movie producers, have sued the New York Times over. According to the Blake Lively piece, Justin started a smear campaign to damage Blake's reputation. The problem began in early 2019 when Justin Baldwin got in touch with the author. Through his literary agent Justin, Colleen Hoover communicated with us his strong desire to make the book. Ahe envisioned a video that would highlight the difficulties faced by DV survivors in getting their voices heard and motivating societal change. And on May 8, 2019, Justin Baldwin's studio Wayfair was able to obtain the book's rights as it began the process of being made into a movie over the course of the following 5 years following the acquisition of the rights. Wayfair and Justin remained cooperative with as development progressed. Author Colleen teamed up with Sony to co-finance and distribute the movie under a deal that stipulates 1% of the movie's earnings would be given to victims of domestic violence. The DV Group receiving the 1% was a very stable provision in their contract because Justin desired to collaborate with them as early as September 2022. Continues to progress when Blake Lively consented to play Lily Bloom on or around December 31st, 2022. What transpired: she frequently receives a title and executive producer credit as a result of talks during this contractual agreement, associated with a performer of her caliber, but the company never asked Blake to do any additional work on the movie. Ability to play Lily Bloom's starring part and receive executive producer credit. But then going on to 5, it was said that Blake occupied the wardrobe on May 15th, several months later. 2023. A lot of these started during pre-production, when Blake began to take charge of certain parts of the movie without it being included in her original contract. Therefore, Blake went too far by excluding the costume designers for productions are seasoned experts in their field with a lengthy history of collaboration. At first, their disagreements appeared to be the normal growing pains of a loving partnership. Both were fervently committed to the script, its characters, and the tone the movie should have. From the beginning, the project was viewed as a very personal endeavor, and he had planned every aspect of it. His devotion to the material was evident in everything from the framing of scenes to the heartfelt rhythms of each character's arc, protective of his artistic choices and unwilling to forego aspects he felt were crucial to the movie's honor.
Justin Baldwin's legal team has now released footage from the movie It Ends With Us. This is raw, uncut footage that honestly does not make Blake look the best, because how she described this scene being shot in her complaint is very different from how it seems to be playing out. And a lot of people have a lot of things to say in reaction to this clip being released to the public.
Vibrant, however, she wasn't satisfied with just following instructions. She wanted to participate in all stages of the process, thinking that her observations would improve the movie. Instead of mentioned it in interviews prior to the scandal, where she talked about her passion for creating narratives outside of acting, from choosing her outfits to offering suggestions for scripts. She had a history of influencing the projects she worked on. Although this strategy had been well received on other sets, it ran against Baldwin's vision, as he observed her growing engagement, meddling instead of cooperation, and eventually innovative conversations become heated conflicts.
I want to just like be an actor. Like I want to, I want to have more authorship. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that. For them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull.
All right, cut.
As their positions became more ambiguous, tension increased over time. Lively questioned several of the director's decisions and pushed for rewrites with modifications to her character's growth. Baldoni, who was accustomed to controlling his projects with strict authority, resisted. Crew members reported experiencing periods of dissatisfaction due to many of these adjustments, with some claiming and what had started out as an exhilarating artistic collaboration is now characterized by an undertone of competition rather than cooperation between the two. Slowly, the collaboration devolved into a power struggle as each side fought for their version of events.
Score. Just so everyone else around us is having a moment.
But is it as rambunctious as it was earlier on?
No, it's never going to be because we're in slow-mo. But just they're watching, people are watching games. We see some, just some hands and things like that. Yeah, thank you.
Ready, and everybody good? And playback.
Nevertheless, both maintained a united front in spite of the conflict. Speaking well of the movie and their partnership in public, their dynamic was developing behind the scenes. What began as a creative argument would quickly turn into something much more serious due to growing tension, laying the groundwork for one of the most dramatic scandals Hollywood had witnessed in a long time.
Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios. Complaint for damages for sexual harassment, retaliation, failure to investigate, prevent, and/or remedy harassment, retaliation, aiding and abetting harassment and retaliation, breach of contract, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligence, false light invasion of privacy, interference with prospective economic advantage. So one of the first things, from what I understand, that they talk about in this lawsuit was that on the 4th of January, the whole team had a meeting, a roundtable meeting, where all the knights and nobles took their stand.
Baldoni frequently discussed the challenges of juggling several roles in a production in which he had established a reputation for being heavily committed to all facets of filmmaking, from writing and directing to influencing his co-stars' performances. With this degree of to produce anything genuinely unique, dedication was required. But not everyone shared that opinion, as they struggled to establish their own place in a project that seemed to revolve around. He acknowledged that managing this dynamic was not always simple around Baldwin's vision, and some people valued his hands-on approach, while some said he was going too far in making innovative choices that ought to have been discussed.
The ex-CIA operative to salvage her crumbling image.
It's absurd that they were going on this level.
And as we know, these agents will go to any lengths to manipulate the narrative. But no matter what tricks she pulls, her government-backed PR strategist won't stand a chance against Brian Friedman in court.
Breaking news, Justin Baldoni just got a big win, meaning Blake Lively got a big loss. Are her lawyers dumb? Like, what's happening? Why do they keep making these mistakes and fumbling the ball like this?
Blake Lively's legal battle against Justin Baldoni.
This conflict turned in particularly noticeable because Lively, who is used to having an impact on the project she works on, had anticipated a bigger cooperative experience, but she claimed to have felt more like an afterthought than a creative participant. Baldoni insisted that his goals were solely artistic. Dismissing or overriding suggestions from those close to Lively, claimed that she thought he was purposefully ignoring her, which began as annoyance about artistic control, developed into a deeper, more personal animosity that permeated their conversations on and off as these problems did not remain behind closed doors as the movie's production went on. Industry speculations started to circulate, groups that painted Lively in a negative manner, describing her as scavenging someone who pushed for changes that were disruptive and desired too much power. Consequently, these tales, whether real or fabricated, started to influence the public view of her. Lively finally came to believe that the devastating disclosures she witnessed were caused by Baldoni, portraying her as another demanding actress who had gone too far in an attempt to damage her reputation or location. And what had started off as creative disputes had now evolved into became a much bigger conflict that went well beyond the initial feud between them. Had gained attention, not only because of a movie, but also because of how power is perceived and how, when authority is at risk, Hollywood handles its stars. As the scandal grew, The conflict between Lively and Baldoni turned into a battle about reputation rather than merely a legal issue over who, up until that time, had actually held the authority behind the scenes. Lively had presented herself as the victim of injustice, a woman combating structural inequalities in Hollywood, but as new evidence emerged that made it more difficult to support Baldwin's squad, published a number of text messages that presented a radically different image. According to these purported communications Lively sent while filming, she had been influencing the movie's plot behind the scenes in ways that favored her. According to Baldwin, the text revealed Lively using her ties to Hollywood's elite, including her husband, as part of her legal team. According to reports, Ryan Reynolds will have some control over the production, suggested having private discussions with executives who may make decisions that would take precedence over Baldwin's power.
$400 million defamation and extortion lawsuit he filed against Lively, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and the actress publicist Leslie Sloan on January 16th. It also links to a 168-page document detailing a timeline of relevant events related to the case. It includes never-seen-before texts, emails, and other messages Baldoni allegedly exchanged with Lively. I'm telling you, every time I read an article, there's a typo. And Reynolds throughout the production process for the 2024 film, It Ends With Us. Among the newly released messages is one from April 2023 in which Lively, while discussing a rewrite of the movie's rooftop scene, the infamous rewrite of the rooftop scene, I might add, allegedly wrote to Baldoni, "If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting will play. It's my love language."
The suggestion was that Lively was stag aging, had actually been in charge of implementing significant adjustments and influencing the studio's choices. Then the story, she had started to disprove the claim that Baldoni had ignored and denigrated her. No longer appeared to be a simple instance of a woman being silenced in a field that was dominated by men. Rather, it prompted industry experts to wonder if Lively had been the one manipulating the situation all along. Everything changed after the revelation, and many people had rallied around Lively's beliefs. T.O.B. just another actress who has been mistreated by the establishment in Hollywood. But if she had been actively using her position she might not have been the victim she had claimed to be if she had been able to influence the project and the media narrative, which had previously focused on industry oppression and gender dynamics, has now moved toward power struggles and backroom deals. Suddenly, Lively and Baldoni's duel was more than just a maneuver concerning personal complaints. It turned into an example of how power functions. Hollywood demonstrates how perception may be manipulated and how people who seem like victims can occasionally beta individuals operating the control levers, the formerly distinct boundaries between right and as if that weren't enough. Reports of Marvel left fans wondering if they had been duped from the beginning. Up to that point, the involvement of the studios elevated the situation to a completely new level to point that Liv and Baldoni's court dispute had been presented as a profoundly personal conflict that occurred both in the courtroom and in the court of public opinion. But when Marvel entered the fray, the situation drastically changed, and it was no longer only concerning personal reputations, but it was about one of Hollywood's most influential studios intervening to save its empire.
Insiders revealed that the studio believed Blake had either leaked or threatened to leak Deadpool's closely guarded secrets, all as part of a calculated strategy to shift attention away from the firestorm surrounding.
Marvel had established a reputation for rigorous secrecy by requiring performers, directors, and crew members to keep quiet through contracts. The studio's security protocols for its high-stakes projects were legendary, with performers renowned for obtaining layers of confidentiality agreements covering entire productions and censored texts. So, if Marvel the decision by studios to go to the extreme length of suing Lively demonstrates exactly how they took the alleged complaint accusing Lively of improperly handling private data very seriously about the eagerly awaited Deadpool movie, a brand that is strongly associated with her husband Ryan Reynolds. Marvel claimed that Lively had carelessly or purposely permitted important project details to leak, a charge that, if validated, might have serious repercussions for more than just her career, but also for her husband's. And they contended that the timing of the leak was not coincidental. Marvel's legal team indicated that Lively had strategically utilized the information as a diversion to draw attention away from the escalating disputes over her legal dispute with Baldoni. Insiders disclosed that the studio thought Blake had either disclosed or threatened to disclose Deadpool's highly protected secrets as part of a planned plan to divert focus from the current commotion. This would be more than just a case for a studio as strong as Marvel, breach of contract. It would directly threaten the meticulously regulated environment that has allowed the Marvel, a powerful force in Hollywood, feeds on its capacity to create worldwide excitement for its movies, creating stories that were painstakingly revealed in teaser trailers and strictly controlled promotional any interference with the process, particularly if it is connected to personal conflicts, would be viewed as an existentialist implied that Blake was accustomed to manipulating events behind the scenes when it served her interests. Now that there was a question about how far she would go, and Hollywood insiders said swift to acknowledge the gravity of the circumstance, Marvel seldom participated in public court cases, preferring to resolve disagreements in private before taking legal action. Claimed that Lively was sending a strong message to others in the industry, and that the studio was using her as an example, sector in which no one, regardless of fame or connections, could jeopardize the integrity of their brand if there are no repercussions for living. This lawsuit will just be another setback. Previously considered a cherished actress with a meticulously maintained image of grace and beauty in an already devastating fallout professionalism, she is currently embroiled in conflicts on several fronts, which began as a disagreement over a single movie's creative control had descended into a broad scandal involving some of Hollywood's greatest significant actors, and when Marvel intervened, the balance of power changed once more, leaving Lively to battle without the rumors of this case sent shockwaves through the business, not only for her reputation but also for her position within it. Hollywood Deadpool is one of the studio's most valuable properties and not simply another Marvel property. The series has garnered a considerable following thanks to its distinct sense of comedy. Without a question, Ryan Reynolds has played a crucial role in its action and self-awareness. Achievement after years of work to develop the character and obtain the artistic freedom that had made the movie Deadpool became a phenomenon as a result of his unwavering dedication and comical genius, such that the notion that his wife Blake Lively may be turned into $1 billion business, it is nearly unimaginable to be at the center of a legal case involving exposed Marvel secrets. Yet as the struggle progresses, the evidence appears to contradict the lawsuits. Allegations claims that Lively obtained or revealed private information about impending Deadpool ventures, which infuriated fans. Social media went into a frenzy as discussions on the scope of her involvement. Some thought she had used her insider knowledge, while others rejected the accusations as inflated relationships to obtain information that might be used as leverage in her conflict with entertainment star Justin Baldwin, a sector renowned for its meticulously maintained connections and unofficial affiliations, was closely observing that Marvel, a studio known for its secrecy, had argued that they had strong evidence to file a lawsuit, and Hollywood insiders conjectured that Marvel executives had been monitoring leaks for a while, and Lively's involvement raised the most serious concerns levels for Blake's cases, and the details, from the hairdo to a lot of the claims made, are really unsettling. It was clear from Nice Pool that Ryan was pursuing Justin, which is detrimental to the couple's relationship. Advances closer to the court because, if many of Blake's claims were true, why would they be so delicate and frightening? Would Ryan continue to water it all down and make jokes about it? People frequently imply that Ryan and Blake make fun of themselves in their work, and their past demonstrates that even for Reynolds, the circumstances surrounding their marriage posed an unparalleled difficulty. He was more than just the face of Hollywood. He had spent years establishing himself as one of its most likable and bankable stars. He was the inspiration behind Deadpool, both on and off screen, with every new growth conjecture over the extent to which he was unaware of his wife's purported behavior, or had he covertly profited from it. The ambiguity created an awkward if his affiliation with Marvel is confirmed. There would be serious repercussions, according to industry analysts. Reynolds' once unwavering place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe appears to be less stable now that there is no direct proof that connected him to the leaks, which were harming a franchise that was founded on subversion and irreverence were abruptly at the center of an undesirable fans of scandal who had long defended Reynolds as Deadpool's ideal personification, now found themselves wondering whether his relationship with Lively might have long-term repercussions. Marvel, for its part, stayed steadfast in its legal pursuit. The lawsuit served as a warning to Lively and was not merely an attempt to hold him responsible. Leaks were a persistent worry in the movie business for anyone who would think about betraying the studio's trust, but Marvel had established its empire by managing stories, teasing just enough to create excitement while maintaining significant news under wraps if Lively had really jeopardized that plan. Marvel was resolved to use her to demonstrate the once untouchable status of Vivacious in Hollywood. Reynolds was starting to falter what had begun as a quarrel between two co-stars on A with Marvel involved. The stakes have never been higher as a single movie descended into a full-blown industry scandal. Been worse for Baldoni. The circumstances were bizarre when the creative dispute between him and he was caught up in a problem, but Lively didn't anticipate that it would bubble up into a full-fledged I&D heissery scandal. Something appeared to get bigger every day, and he had anticipated difficulties when working on a big movie project, particularly one that is based on a best-selling book with a devoted following. But he didn't think those difficulties would turn into a legal and media dispute that overshadowed the movie and interviews. He expressed his increasing shock at how rapidly things had gotten out of hand. Had at first assumed that the conflicts on the set were the typical type of disputes that occurred in movies where intense people frequently disagreed over creative direction, but he thought that with time and dialogue, instead, he had seen how disagreements could be settled and turned into the basis for grave accusations against him, making his work-related choices newsworthy. Scandals.
I wasn't in the best place. I told them that I was exhausted, that I haven't given myself time to recover or time to heal. I had a intense year, a lot of material success, and a lot of emotional stress. It was very hard on me and my family. And I wear a lot of hats, and I carry a lot.
He kept saying, emphasized that since he had started working on the movie, his sole objective had been to defend his artistic decisions, with a strong feeling of duty committed to honoring the original work and bringing his vision to life. He had given his all to the project, playing a number of roles in the production because he thought that the only way to guarantee that the tale was delivered in the most effective way possible was through hands-on involvement. Convincing manner conceivable, he had anticipated criticism, understanding that any alteration would be examined by both. What he was unprepared for, according to fans and industry insiders, was how personal and professional lines had blurred, transforming a discussion about storytelling into a full-scale public conflict as the dispute intensified. Baldoni was caught in the crossfire of influential businesspeople, and his name was continuously cited in discussions that went well beyond his movie project and were connected to lawsuits and unfounded allegations. Despite his initial aims, he was compelled to see how external influences produced stories about him, of his control, even if he recognized that the Hollywood industry was influenced by perceptions he had not anticipated. The epicenter of a storm with no apparent end in sight.
Baldoni just got a big win, meaning Blake Lively got a big loss.
Also, the judge in Blake Lively's case just slapped down their psychopathic request.
In spite of the pandemonium, he insisted that he had never allowed the debate to define him and that his attention had always been on the art itself. Highlighting his commitment to sharing stories and his faith in the movie he has put so much effort into making. Even so, he was unable to deny the damage the scandal was doing to his reputation. Every remark he made was analyzed, and every appearance he made was closely watched. And each choice he made throughout the production was being reconsidered in view of the continuing legal dispute. He had to face the harsh reality of Hollywood's ruthless nature after the entire ordeal. Industry with a love for filmmaking and a conviction that stories have the ability to uplift and challenge viewers, he now was witnessing directly the speed at which that same industry may transform A. He was constantly aware that a creative disagreement could turn into something far more harmful. Though perception was important, he never thought that force would have such a profound impact on his career. Control as the legal dispute continues, and we're left to contend with opposing viewpoints on one side. Feel that Lively was unfairly singled out as a victim of Hollywood's propensity to demonize powerful women on the. Others view her as a calculating tactician who will go to considerable lengths to preserve her reputation. The disturbing image depicted by the text conversations made public by Baldwin's team indicated that Lively had a history of influencing stories to her benefit, regardless of whether these communications were a smoking gun or just supporting information. Remained to be seen, while Ryan Reynolds was in a precarious situation where, known for his quick wit and captivating personality, the actor was unusually quiet as the situation developed, his devotion to Marvel and his wife created a delicate. By openly supporting Lively, balancing act ran the danger of offending the studio that had brought him back to life. Reynolds eventually broke his career neutrality, which may be seen as a lack of support for his husband. Silence, with a well-crafted statement that shows admiration for Marvel without going so far as to defend Lively. The omission revealed a lot, which fueled rumors about their relationship status, and not all admirers are. Referring to a Blake post promoting her husband's movie, which she claimed was. The lawsuit was about more than just good men using feminism as a tactic for Marvel. It was a declaration of intent rather than merely safeguarding its intellectual property. Reminder that nobody was above the law, not even the husband of one of its biggest stars. Regulations the studio's legal staff allegedly combed through papers to see if the claims were validated, Lively's access to or disclosure of private data would be a serious betrayal of confidence that can have far-reaching effects on Lively and Reynolds. The repercussions of the fans of Deadpool were left wondering about the future of the controversy, which went beyond the individuals involved. Would Reynolds continue to play the beloved anti-hero in the franchise, or would the legal dispute forcing Marvel to reevaluate its partnership with him and explore recasting Deadpool as figure so strongly linked to Reynolds seems unthinkable, but as the case progressed, it became evident that nothing was off the table for Baldoni, and the experience served as a warning about the dangers of creative teamwork in Hollywood. He had intended to create a movie that would tell a compelling story, but instead, he found himself enmeshed in a conflict that threatened to eclipse his career. It's important to be honest about what you require, he thought, but it's also important to look for partners who respect your vision and contributions. The ongoing dispute has ultimately demonstrated how brittle celebrity can be in Hollywood, where authority and even the most well-respected individuals have been subject to scandal, which has shown that reputation is just as important as talent. What began as a promising partnership has devolved into a contentious legal and media dispute that is endangering people's careers and reputations. Baldoni has found the experience to be both humbling and draining. Earned notoriety as an actor, director, and advocate by working hard to build his career. He has addressed his initiatives with genuine faith in the power of storytelling, but in spite of his best efforts. Despite his best efforts, he is currently embroiled in a scandal that has little to do with his initial objectives. He has observed the speed at which stories shift and discovered how simple it is for individuals to misrepresent someone's intentions. Professional disputes have evolved into personal betrayals, and public opinion has shifted more quickly than the reality. The whole experience has made him reconsider his role in a field that has relied heavily on. He has come to the realization that, despite his best efforts to cultivate his image, he will never be able to completely control how. Despite the fact that people notice him, he has stayed dedicated to his work. Despite everything, the experience has strengthened his resolve since he realizes that re-establishing trust would not be simple. Even though it has taken some time to repair his reputation, he has refused to let the controversy define him. The saga of Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and Marvel Studios is far from over, but one thing was clear. In Hollywood, the line between personal ambition and professional ethics is often blurred, and the consequences of crossing it can be profound. As the legal battles continue and new revelations emerge, one truth remains undeniable. Even though Hollywood has always told stories, not all of them, he has been focused on his craft, determined to keep creating, and proving that his passion for film has remained strong as he has looked to the future. Possess happy ending.